Hey, Ted here at Blue Forest, and I just want to talk a little bit today about putting in terraces using logs. I've done a fair amount of terracing work on my property here. Half of it's pretty steeply sloped. It's always hard to make out on the camera, but I'm going from the top down, definitely in the range of 45 degrees or more at points. So quite a steep slope. So an appropriate method for cultivation and helping water infiltrate into the soil is terracing. And I made some other videos about this project, which I'll link to here. But today, specifically, I'm putting in this next row of the terrace, and I'm using wood as my wall. I've used stone in the past. It's a lot more work, and it's getting harder and harder to find the large size stones that I want. Although my buddy Nate helped me unearth this pile the other day, so we'll continue to use those as we go. He also helped me move some of these huge logs, which is awesome. Thanks, Nate. But really, I just want to touch on the technique, because I've learned a lot over the years on how to do this and what's worked and what's not worked for me. And the method I've settled on is to find the contour level that you want your terrace to be at. I don't use any really levels or anything like that. I just kind of eyeball it. And it's a little wonky here and there, an inch or two off. But the terrace ends up behind it, forming out pretty level, especially as I backfill with soil. But the key is to set these logs and key them into the earth so that they don't move and that they're locked into the earth, so water or anything running down slope from behind comes down slope, hits the back of the terrace and soaks in. It doesn't just continue down slope right under the log. And how you accomplish this is on your contour where you want your logs to be, you simply dig a shallow trench, and as you dig, you flop down slope whatever you're taking out, and that creates this little berm here. And my next log going in is going to nest right in my trench. It's going to be keyed into the earth here, so again, as anything that's washing down will actually dip down in the earth here and infiltrate. If I just set this right on the ground like it is right now, water's going to run right underneath that. My beds are going to dry out much quicker behind it. It's just not going to be as stable. So this method here, the trench and the flop of the soil over, really creates this berm. And once I put it in there, here's what I've just done. Try to get my shadow out of the way. There we go. What I've just done, it's as simple as just going through with your foot or a shovel and kind of packing that back in. And this log is set. I mean, it's not going anywhere. I can sit here and roll on it. It's not coming loose. So it's a safety feature too. I've got small children and they're going to be playing up here, and we don't need any logs rolling down the hill, hurt anyone. So if you are thinking of terracing, I think this is a good way to go. Of course, the stone's going to last longer, but these logs will last quite some time and will really help shape the landscape. And when they start to rot out, 10, 15 years or so, I can replace them with another round if I'm up for it at that time. But in the same time, they're decomposing, they're adding a fungal element into the soil. So I really like the yield that we get from them. So hopefully that's helpful, and good luck with your terraces. I'll keep updating as this project comes along. I hope to add maybe one more level here across the hillside somewhere and get it planted up this spring. I think it'll be pretty sweet. Here are some other examples of some wooden terraces. It's a little bit hard to see with all the brown dead plant matter, but we got 2 logs stacked on top of each other here basically. And just like before, this bottom one's keyed right into the earth here in a little bit of a trench. And to add the second log, maybe we can swing to the side here and see it a little better. It's a little bit off center it sits. So as you lay down your first row here in your trench and you're backfilling up, what you simply do is kind of work with the shape that the first log is presenting and nestle your second on top of it and lock it into the first log, and you continue to backfill behind it. Now you can keep repeating this process. I've really only done it with 2 levels before. There's no reason you can't go higher if you wanted to. Again, here's some more of that pattern as we walk up slope. 2 levels, or 1 really big thick one. What I did want to show you too though is basically what not to do. And here's one of the first terraces I made, and used some old railroad ties that were on the property, which I want to get rid of. But these are definitely not keyed into the earth at all. They're just sitting on top of it, as you can see. And they've worked. I've got gooseberries planted behind them and some lingonberries and other things. But certainly it could be better. It took a few years for the soil to really develop behind it. I replaced the section at the end of this terrace a couple years back with the method that I've been outlining here, where I just keyed this log into the earth, and you can just see it just looks better. Some of these logs were pretty rotty when I put them on here, and they'll probably need to be replaced in a year or 2, but I'm okay with that. Like, it's fungal food, and there's definitely some bird action here, woodpeckers getting in on that. So it's creating some habitat and some different diversity. I'm a big believer in just bringing in as much organic matter as you can onto the property. So I'm always on the lookout for logs or wood chips or leaves or really anything. And I just bring it in, and there's really no end to how much it can absorb. But you can just see the pattern repeating over and over here up the hillside, the terraces with the logs. Real simple. You don't need to have a lot of this material on hand. You don't need to have trees, but you can find piles on the side of the road if you're looking, you know. So keep your eyes out and collect. This has been a project I've been working on for probably 8 years now, and started at the bottom of the slope, and now I've been working my way up, keep going, and the upper terrace is somewhere over there. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Get out and play around.